Space, the final frontier. The stories contained within this content are the after 5 p.m. and before 8 p.m. escapades of a middle-aged space nerd with a fro, continuing to talk about things that only interest me for bonus content. I will talk about space news, pop culture in space and shop talk, ramen, and break down the latest episode of Star Trek, whatever is coming out from the latest franchise. And also whatever is popping in my head. If you're up for this journey, just know that this is a metered, shade-laced opinion. If you don't agree, don't subscribe, but I hope you will. And thanks for the support.
Three, two, one, zero, and liftoff. Liftoff. Americans return to space as Discovery clears the tower.
So, what is going on in the NASA news of it all? There's a lot. A Virginia Beach native, don't know this dude, was selected to live 1 year in one of the simulations, a habitat. I guess it's on here on Earth, but to see if he's survivable. I don't think I would feel good about living with 4 other white folks that I don't know in a contained environment. So that's Gucci. This is the Crew Health and Performance Exploration Analog. It's to begin in June at the Johnson Space Center in Houston. One of the 3 planned 1-year Mars surface simulations. They will live and work in the 3D printed 1,700 square foot habitat. That actually sounds kind of dope. They're watching crew performance and health changes based on realistic Mars restriction and lifestyle of the crew members. But how are they going to? There's no gravity on Mars, so that's going to be interesting because the effects of gravity and radiation levels potentially is going to be a real consideration. So it's not going to be that close to the Mars environment. And what did I even say dude's name? Ross Brockwell, a structural engineer and public works administrator from Virginia Beach. Yeah, good luck with that, Brock. Also, not even fully formed, or the Artemis program, we ain't even got back to moon yet. The SLS rocket is already $6 billion over budget. They're basically trying to put lipstick on a pig, meaning they are trying to integrate repurposing existing technology, contracts, and workforce with Constellation that is in charge of the Artemis moon mission. And that's why they're having $6 billion in overruns, because I'm sure they're trying to integrate this old shit into the new shit, but it doesn't integrate, so they have to rebuild it anyways. So all that is led to not only the cost overruns, multiple delays, because they're realizing that the newer systems are not applicable, or they can't be integrated into the old analog systems. Yeah, I could have told y'all that for a lot less money. And that, to me, that's just like one more that the private sector really needs to take a little bit more control, because they would have had this shit up and running, kept costs down, and kept it pushing. But this whole government BS red tape, that's what's leading to this program being so draining. Same thing when we talk about the Webb telescope. There's the delays, a bunch of government and bullshit red tape. So now the last of it is Kepler. In its last days, it appears that there was data included in there that led to the discovery of 3 life-size exoplanets. This is K2-416b. It's about 2.6 times Earth size and orbits. It's red dwarf star about every 13 days. You talk about a short month. Wow. Then there's K2-417b. It's about 3 times Earth size. It orbits its star in 6.5 days. And then Epic 246-251988b is 4 times Earth size and orbits its sun-like star in about 10 days. And they are named after the K2, with the exception of Epic, which is named after the ecliptic plane input catalog, is because there was in its final campaign, number 19, that was the last time Kepler was transmitting data, any type of useful data, back for citizen scientists and other astronomers to actually gather this information. And of course, the artist renderings are wonderful. So check out the long form of my notes for this bonus content to get those drawings and illustrations. Over a year ago, the NASA panel that was created to examine all these unclassified UFO sightings or unidentified aerial phenomena, which we call UFOs, they basically this is what they have concluded in their first public meeting. We want to know where these unidentified objects' origins are, but we still don't know what they are. What kind of governmental double talk is that? That is hilarious. They said, yes, they are UFOs, but it doesn't necessarily mean ET exists. They basically have concluded that stigma and lack of data are some of the problems to really fully study these unidentified aerial phenomena. Basically, a lot of BS. A lot of these things and UFOs have been on the fringe of the scientific community for so long. And of course, lack of funding. There are many citizen scientists like myself that would love to basically commit the time and effort into it, but we're not really all that into it if it costs too much money. Because being a citizen scientist you can run up quite a bill, and unless you have a lot of disposable income, we ain't really trying to do or hear any of that. And a lot of us don't do free. Also, but it's plausible enough, and the encounters have been frequent enough that there's a whole government entity now dedicated to it. I'm sure there's red tape. And then when the money runs out, they're going to get cut from the budget because they're going to be like, this is so stupid. But whatever it is, I'm hopeful that we'll get some more information, except for in sci-fi books. I think science fiction is closer to truth. It's just our way to explain the unexplainable. And then we get the scientific data and the proof of what we feel on like a different type of level. So no answers yet, but they're still at least they're still working about it, and it's still making the news cycle. So what am I eating and drinking? Well, the drinking is something very simple. Of course, most people know that I watch a lot of reality TV, and I noticed, especially with Nene Leakes and phony Fei Parks, they had a lot of cocktails, in particular Saint Germain and champagne or sparkling wine. So I decided to look it up and cook it up, and I found out that Saint Germain is a elderberry liqueur, so it has some anti-inflammatory properties, and as well as the antioxidant properties of blackberries. And I'm going to use a cuvee from California to mix this up, and I'm going to be sipping on this. I'm hoping it's a wonderful, refreshing aperitif or cocktail to enjoy a wonderful, balmy spring day. And that's what it's looking like here next to my pool in Tennessee. I'm also a fan of this Let Us Grow tower. I'll have some pictures of it in the extended podcast notes, but I actually received this thing about now 3 weeks ago. Putting it together, setting it up was a lot easier than I thought. When the little sprouts or the plants came, getting it set up, setting the timer, and now I am enjoying butter and baby lettuce salads daily. I was also encouraged to make my own pumpernickel croutons because unfortunately I can't get them or couldn't. They were always either sold out or not available in either Publix or Walmart. So bought some pumpernickel bread, wiped them with my garlic infused olive oil with all of the spices and toasted them up. And now I have been enjoying these great salads. I'm going to probably just have a little either soup. I'm not sure if I'm going to do split pea or just regular chicken noodle soup. That makes a really fulfilling, but kind of a light lunch. And I'm actually been enjoying it for the last couple of days. And with all of that, my knees don't hurt as much because I think I'm dropping half a stone. But that is what we're eating here on this side of Barton. Enjoy the pictures when you navigate to my Dell's Angels Inc. blog. Check it out and let me know what you think. How many times have we heard that jam? Y'all ready for this? Jock jams. You gotta jam to this. You gotta be ready for this. I'm just saying. Boogity, 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 boogity. They running in Shirley, bitches. Okay, so it's been a minute since I have actually been to this race. The last time I was at this race, sitting literally on the front line when it goes green. I think it's Ford or GM section, and it was both bittersweet. I was with my Aunt Sandra and my cousin and my Uncle Tom, and it was bomb. Now I'm watching it from my house, and I'm wondering, this is the only way to do the 600. I was talking about how many places you can go to and get bologna sandwiches and beer backpacks and just walk around with everybody else. Even with the racist connotations associated with NASCAR, I'm here for it. Now I'm watching Amarola lose power, and I didn't even know. I saw Jimmy Johnson, my favorite race car driver, retired. He got into the wall with somebody else. I'm tired. I'm so tired. And now the best thing about all of these races are the crashes. Chase Elliott gets into it, and I had to rewind. I'm so glad I got Hulu DVR Because yes, one of the best things about this shit is the crashes. And this last crash and dude walking away from this shit, get it. They putting their foot in this, and I'm just excited. It is so stinking cool. My neighbors already think I'm crazy. I don't care. And here we go. Here we go. Here we go. And I'm looking at Bubba Wallace and 23 Michael Jordan's team. I mean, come on. Yeah, he's from North Carolina and he got, oh Jesus wept. Why wouldn't you have a race car team? Woo! Oh, sons of bitches. This is why this car is 3,000 pounds and they get to walk away, unlike the Dale Earnhardt of it all. His car is total. He's done. And we only lap 186 of 400. And these mugs are already crashing. How you gonna start with 36 cars and end up with 5? This is why NASCAR cracks me the freak up. Ooh, all the rim, the whole front end, and the axle is done. Denny Hamlin gets up out the bitch and he walks away from it. I can't. And everybody sideways in this bitch. Whoa. Spins out and then gets out of there. He mad. I'm sure he mad as fire. Because I'm sure he don't got like another $2 million car just in, waiting on him. He all up in the wall and he walks away from this shit. That's what cracks me up. I love this. I love NASCAR. It's gritty, it's nasty, and it's crazy. And I'm glad I got into it before they had all this safety shit and all the people can walk away from this kind of crash at 189, 5 million miles an hour. This is what is the bomb of it all. And I like Denny Hamlin. He's a cool dude. Not like Keselowski and the Bush not Bush, Kyle, but yes, Kyle and them. He's cool cat. I'm Gucci. And so is this another caution comes out, they're gonna have to stop the race, clean up all the debris that flew off of Hamlin's car, and Bubba may have a chance. I don't know. What y'all think? Boogity, 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 boogity. The NASCAR starts, and the most interesting things about NASCAR, unfortunately for a crazy person like me, I only was tuning in for the crashes. I did not stay through all 400 laps of the 600, the Coca-Cola 600 this year, but there are no reports that anybody was seriously injured. As I said in my previous episode, one of the things that makes these cars so heavy is the roll cage and that roll bar that's right down in the middle. It's like driving a big, fast tank. But I'm looking at these highlights, and it looks like Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott have a hard hit on a restart. Let's see this. What? He hit that wall hard as an MFer. I think he was out. I also think I did see a malfunction when I think my homeboy, and I didn't even know he was retired, as I said. Let's see. It's Kyle Larson and Ty Gibbs. Joey. Ooh, this was a 3-car bang up. Oh, he's sideways. Good gracious, good gracious, good gracious, good gracious. What? How did that even start? He was putting his foot in it. Spun all the way around. The car is limping out. Dang it.
It's going to be interesting. We'll have to go back to the last scoring loop they crossed prior to the moment of caution.
That sucks. Got loose and ended up in the wall. That's dope, though. Oh, that's crazy. Then the big one strikes on a late restart at Charlotte. I'm wondering if this is the Joey Logano, Ty Gibbs, and Carl Larson crash. Let me check this out. Let's see.
So did his help behind him, Truex. Not gonna
yep, it's the Carl Larson.
Oh, Larson's around.
Yep.
In front of the field. This is going to be big.
Yep, that's the big one, child. That's a big one. That's crazy. And then they said Chase Elliott. Did they get into a fist fight? Something is wrong with Chase Elliott. I think he's on steroids with his little butt. Let's see. And now they're saying
what a Coca-Cola
Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin get into it.
Which one was better, this year or last year? Because this year sure tried very hard to be better than last year. What a race that was. But of course, the main story we're going to talk about is what took place between Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott. Now, these two have had a history for a while. Back in 2017, we know the deal what happened in Martinsville and Phoenix. Well, that rivalry has reignited. I shouldn't say reignited. It's exploded into high gear. Off of turn number 4, Denny Hamlin gets tight, washes up the racetrack, puts Chase Elliott in the wall. Elliott comes back down and just cleans out Denny Hamlin, right hooks him hard into the outside wall. Luckily, Denny Hamlin was okay. And after the race, or I should say after the crash, Denny Hamlin offered his thoughts on the situation.
I got right rear hooked in the middle straight away. Did you think there was any kind of retaliation there, or what was the deal?
Oh, yeah, I remember seeing this.
And they shouldn't be racing next week. Right rear hooks are absolutely unacceptable.
Right wheel hooked. He right wheel hooked him, and that's how he ended up. Denny Hamlin ended up in the wall. But Denny Hamlin's kind of whiny, is what I see. He got into it with Bubba Wallace, I think last week, because Bubba gave him the finger, and then they got into a shoving match after the win, or after the race was over. They can act like such immature dickheads. But that's just how the race it goes. High octane. I mean, you put these people in a big old bomb going 200 miles an hour. I mean, come on. You talk about adrenaline and testosterone rich. Now that my homegirl's not racing anymore, so these boys will be stupid. But the crashes were awesome. Nobody seriously injured. I think, what's the next race that's coming up? NASCAR schedule. I'm looking it up online right now to see what's the next big race. June 3rd, they're going to be at Gateway for the Toyota 200. Which is in Illinois. It's actually the Illinois 300. NASCAR is going to be racing. This should be interesting. I don't know. I may tune in, give y'all an update. But it is going to be in Madison. 300 miles, 240 laps. Then they go Nashville Super Speedway. We got a Super Speedway in Nashville. I should come back just for that. Ooh. The Ally 400. I bet I could get inner. I wonder if they have inner camping. That would be kind of dope. I don't know. Ethel, I'm going to have to get you. I wonder if they have little doggy headset. So, because her ears are big, she will go literally bananas being in the center way for the speedway. But that would be so freaking dope. I'm there for it. Putting it on my radar for June 25th. I should be back in the state. I may be at the Nashville Speedway, Super Speedway. Now I know it's only a couple of hours away. That's going to be totally dope. Boogity, 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 boogity. Ba-na-na-na-na. Hey. Hey. So the NBA Finals are finally here. With first game kicking off between storied Denver Nuggets and Miami Heat in Denver. No, I never went to a Denver Nuggets game, and I worked in Denver for 2 years. The rise of the Heat to this position from number 8 in the division to now up against the Denver Nuggets, who have never been to the final in the entirety of franchise history. Or what was his name? Even when, basically crapped out with the braids and all those kids from Virginia. I can't remember brother's name. But now I'm going to have to look it up. Famous Denver Nugget never to play in finals with braids. Yep, here it is. Oh, I can see his face. What's his name? Iverson. Iverson. Who can never forget tatted up, braids, hood, Negro, possibly getting caught up. He wasn't as bad as Ja Morant, but he basically blew his career on a lot of stuff. However, this series promises to be an exciting one. I don't know. The Heat came back. They had to play up 7 games. I think both of them are going to be, it's going to be like Clash of the Titans, which is going to be pretty dope. Also, they from Flatlander below sea level, Miami. That's where their home games are. They're playing the first 2 in Denver, Mile High City. Man, that altitude gonna kick their butt. I'm hoping they've been there practicing, acclimating, because it can be challenging playing at altitude. But I'm hope being elite athletes and staying away from weed or vaping, these guys are going to do well, and it promises to be exciting. Let's see. They are playing today at today at 8:30. I'm wondering where we can view it. It's going to be on ABC, AFN, ESPN, Spain, as well as ESPN2. I actually have YouTube TV, so I could probably may be able to watch it there, but there's some blackout restrictions I'm also seeing. So this is going to be dope. I'm excited about this game. I'm not sure if I'm going to be awake, but I'm definitely going to get the highlights tomorrow on YouTube, whether I watch tip-off or not. So. One of the things that I have really enjoyed about my bonus content is my interest in completing listeners. I started writing listeners during the pandemic in isolation, and I went back to it as fodder for material for a potential sci-fi full-length movie. Hollywood, and now that it's in this writer's strike, I think it's ended, but it has become, and also since Star Trek Picard has ended and Discovery's not coming back for its final season until 2024, I decided also to write my own stuff. It also has reignited my interest in Octavia Butler, the legendary sci-fi writer who passed away, unfortunately, back in 2008. She has a real cult following, and I will be, over the next several weeks, plan on reviewing and just going through her books. That's included, the compilation that's now included in Lilith's Brood. I think that'll be dope. But in the meantime, I will be hopefully adding the necessary finishes to the completion of Listeners and reading snippets of it for discussion on the podcast, preferably the bonus content. And I actually have developed a logo for AfroDruids that I should actually be creating some bookmarks for those of you that love books. I love books. As well as possibly on t-shirts and other merchandise. Y'all just let me know what you think about the logo. I'll include it in this week's extended podcast notes. But this is from the chapter AfroDruids, Nerds in Paradise in Listeners. 30 years ago, Caltech Research Labs. Amazing. Dow Lundgren says in a hushed reverence, watching Felicity Lowe, the Afro teenager wonder kid coding the recursive algorithms on the IBM supercomputer. Her work necessary in sharpening imaging and videos. She jumped and taken aback by the massive long-haired man standing in front of her, then gathering herself, narrowing her eyes. Have you taken a wrong turn from the USC football field? Yeah, unless you think they would miss a two left-foot dork from South Africa. I think I'm going to be good. I think I'm good. Going to be good. She snickers. He continues, I'm in the right place. She laughs in spite of herself. She wanted him to speak more because of the musical quality of his accent, which I don't have because I'm the one that's reading this. And talk they would for the next 30 years in scientific collaborations and building their lives together. However, they were connected on a distant level because of technology and their involvement in an underground movement that became AfroDruids, which is, need to add that, or just add a loose connection of hackers for good and coding fanatics that collaborated in chat rooms developing the alternate dark web. Electronic labyrinth to grow or to hide evil. They operated with handles, but their manner of nuanced coding also was their tale. All worked to make their work unbreakable but recognizable. This was their own security, but also this is what connected them almost on an atomic level. Within this elite group, the initial work began on blockchain monetization of algorithms, a complicated puzzle for technology nerds. The unofficial language of the AfroDruids, both Felicity and Dow gravitated to this group as teenagers and would be in virtual collaborations for years prior to their meeting in that computer lab at Caltech. AfroDruids became an innovation think tank and technology patent factory. It will become a symbol of nerd protest with an underground following on the dark web. The encryption technology and quantum computer innovations pioneered by Felicity Lundgren would be the basis of the dark web, angering law enforcement worldwide with an unintended consequence for it becoming a virtual black hole for more nefarious enterprises to flourish. She hid in plain sight, creating technology, allowing her to remain invisible, but at the same time developing the technology, creating necessary security. Her coding savvy placed a target on her back. And I am putting it to another paragraph. By law enforcement, but also those who wanted to use the technology to force her to work to hide their ill-gotten gains or to steal more. The open code technology would also have a cult following, with hackers attempting to break the encryption, with several sponsored hackathons resulting in praiseworthy updates and the high-tech .forward phage and encryption and tracking phage embedded in all their programs. This once loosely connected group would create the same technology that would be deployed, resulting in the arrest of thieves who would steal over 250 million USD of Bitcoin. Once bathed in anonymity, they formally became AfroDruids at Fort Sweetwater, because of the security built into their computer programming designs, and Felicity was located in Sweetwater. Before Felicity met the tall, bearded South African doll late that night in the student labs at Caltech, Felicity was born and raised in government housing in the south side of Chattanooga, Tennessee. She was raised by her grandmother, Mabel Lowe. At 1 year old, she was joined with her 3-year-old cousin, Devin, after Felicity's mother was jailed on a drug charge. 1981, 3, 2, 1, liftoff. Space Shuttle Discovery has cleared the launch pad. Second stage separation successful. STS-1 is a go. Command. Vibrations are detected. What was that flash? Ground crew. Solar flare? Command. Looks like it moved over the ship slowly. Scrambled systems for a second, but everything appears to be functioning. Early morning lodge plant, Jasper, Tennessee. Florida Lowe was making her final rounds, traveling down the silent hallway. The lights brighten and dim. Florida begins to feel pulsations through her body, initially fearful, and then the fear goes away. The lights brighten and dim. Florida begins to feel pulsations through her body, initially fearful, and then the fear goes away. The lights brighten and appear to pulsate almost like a sonar. Just in the instant it's gone, and a group of workers enter the hallway on their way to clock out, ending another long shift. Florida shakes her head and proceeds to the same time clock. Early morning maternity ward, Erlanger, Chattanooga, Tennessee. Penny Lowe walking the halls when she is gripped by another contraction. As at ease, the lights dim in the dun-colored hallway and brighten. She thinks her mind is playing tricks because she feels and sees the light pulsing and spinning in her mind like Morse code, staying with her, repeating over and over. Penny paused and asked the African-American nurse assistant walking with her, "Do you feel that?" The nurse assistant, "Feels like the quakes we had when I lived in South Central LA. I can still feel it though." Penny says, "Me too. Can you help me back to my room?" Early morning, Grand Mabel apartment, Chattanooga, Tennessee. Grand Mabel gets up to pour the heated milk into the glass bottle, checking the temperature before feeding it to a cherubic infant, Felicity. She sits down, turning on the floor model TV, and an episode of The Twilight Zone comes on as the lights dim and brighten, with a blue glow starting as a small dot in the TV. The screen pauses with Rod sterilely posing. Both Mabel and baby Felicity lean forward as the dot pulses, swirls, and grows, with the glow enveloping both of them. Baby Felicity slides out of her grandmother's lap, standing up with the blue light enveloping her. She takes an initially unsteady step, then walks back to her grandmother and says clearly, "Numbers light." A stunned Mabel says, "Number light? Wait, when did you start talking?" Little Felicity simply smiles, lays her head on Mabel's ample chest, and commences emptying her bottle, a small interlude to what was to come. Later on Highway Tennessee 27, the car passes him. He feels the red light flash in his mind. Silence her. He looks around and sees Florida's black sedan pass him deep down. He feels the red rage come up as he runs her tags. No moving violations, but he knows she has to be stopped. He hits the lights and she obediently pulls over. The trooper walks to the edge of the car and Florida's hands are in the 10 and 2 position, and she asks, "How can I help you, officer?" Trooper, "You don't ask the questions, I ask. Step out of the car." Florida complies, asking, "What have I done, sir?" The trooper then slams her against her car, handcuffing her and forcing her to sit on the side of the road. He then proceeds to search the car, and with a sleight of hands, produces a bag of white substance that appears out of nowhere. He holds it up, shaking it for effect. Just then, 2 more police cars pull up, swathing Florida in a white hostile light. She squints and feels more than she sees. The voices seems to be hundreds of them, maybe even thousands. She wants to cover her ears, but her hands are cuffed behind her. She then stomps her foot, getting the officer's attention. "Can you hear that?" "The newly arriving officer, you mean the traffic?" No, she says hysterically, the light. The light is talking. The first officer, startled by her revelation and knowing he had to stop her before she revealed more. "Great, another crazy pants. We have to take her to Erlanger to get her mentally cleared, and then to the tank she goes." The entire arrest was to silence her. She was returning from her job at Lodge, working 3rd shift, when she was pulled by the slack-jawed state trooper wearing aviator sunglasses at night. As her deputies dragged Florida Felicity's mother through booking, she kept screaming, "They are the light. Can't you hear them? They are the light." In the corner, a shadow moves, multiplies, and splits, disappearing into 3 inmates. They each pick up brooms, breaking them over the table, leaving sharp ends and clubs. Then the chaos begins. The activated foot soldiers of the replacement slash and beat their way to the intended target, hearing only, "She is close to know what she is. Silence her now." The other inmates heard this only as a buzz and urging to run and take cover or to make the buzz stop. When Big Alex came up on Florida, the foot soldiers surrounding her, dragging her to the center of the unit. Big Alex sneers, "You're done, Florida. Maybe, but not the truth." Others hear the light and will not go so easily. A primal scream emanates like a yell from the activated jackals, and they plunge their makeshift swords into Florida, a wall of pain enveloping her and exploding in her head. Her mother wakes from a nightmare, and as little Felicity starts awake, her eyes wide with fear, Grand Mabel knows her daughter will not return. The official story was Florida Lowe died of her injuries after being knifed in a prison fight. But what never made sense to her mother and then Felicity was, why was she jailed in the first place? And this is how I'll end this section of First Contact with the one and the description of who AfroDruids were. I hope you enjoyed. I wanted to end my broadcast or this recording with just some fresh beats and as a reminder for us to be kind to ourselves, be kind to our minds, and keep creating. I mean, there's just so much horrible things and mean things going on in the world. And this is not goodbye. This is just until we meet again or until I record and drop another episode. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I've enjoyed creating it. Check me out on social media. TNFro is reading on Instagram, TV Food Wine Girl on Twitter, and TNFro is reading the book club. I hope to get into a better state of mind as we recover as a nation from just the tragic happenstance of the last several weeks. And again, I admonish you to be kind to yourself and be kind to others. Be the action that you want to be. If you want kindness, give kindness, exude kindness, and just love yourself and love others. And again, thank you for listening.
Mike Beats.